Hey guys, PrinceofMacedon here, and I'm going to quickly cover the historical events leading up to the Battle of Magnesia between the Seleucid Empire of Antiochus III and the Roman Empire. Right here is Greece, that'll be the battlefield, but let's head west, show you the Italian peninsula, that's where Rome is based. So let's go back east over Greece, and let me show you Asia Minor, way out east here. This is partially where the Seleucid Empire is based, the Seleucids of Antiochus III, aka Antiochus the Great. So we're back in Greece here, and let's rewind into the Macedonian Wars. Philip V of Macedon had just been defeated by the Romans at the Battle of Cynosopoli in Thessaly in 197 BC. And in doing so, the Romans have replaced the Macedonians as the masters of Greece. And the Romans move in to occupy Chalcis, Demetrius, and Acrocorinth, strengthening their grip on the Greek peninsula. So this upsets the Aetolian League, who were allied to the Romans during this time. They had grudges against Macedon, but Flaminius, the Roman, he denied the Aetolians all of the demands they had on Macedon. That's the Aetolian League right there, pretty small. So the Aetolians seek help from outside of Greece. They seek help from Antiochus III of the Seleucid Empire. They want help against Rome. They want Rome out of Greece. So the Romans, they don't like Antiochus III very much. Antiochus III was very expansionist. In 200 BC, he had just defeated the Ptolemies at the Battle of Panion, and he gained a huge chunk of Syria for the Seleucid Empire. And to make matters worse, this guy, Antiochus, he also had his sights set on expanding even more into Anatolia and also westward into Thrace, which is very close to Rome. Not to mention that Antiochus III also let Hannibal Barca hang out in his court after he was defeated by the Romans, so not a very funny guy to the Romans here. So Antiochus III does send troops to Greece, but only 10,000 infantry plus 300 horses. The rest of his troops are south of the Taurus. He lays siege to Larissa, but due to poor scouting, his siege is broken by just 2,000 horses, led by a Roman commander. So, to make matters worse, the Romans sent an army of 20,000 infantry plus 2,000 horses plus elephants. He gets routed all the way to Thermopylae, where he puts up a fight, but his guys get slaughtered. So he retreats to his possessions in Thrace, thinking the Romans won't follow him if he leaves Greece. But this guy fortifies Sestos and Abydos, and he puts his headquarters out in Lysimachia. So after a series of very epic naval battles, the Seleucids do lose control of the Aegean. And with news of the huge loss at Myonnesus, Antiochus panics and he abandons his territories in Thrace. And the Romans march up through Macedon, through Thrace, cross the Hellespont unopposed. And that's where Antiochus III decides to meet the Romans in battle at Magnesia. So the Romans marched south from Pergamum, and the Seleucids marched north from Sardis, and they met here at Magnesia, near the confluence of the Hermos and Phrygios rivers, being overlooked by the Sipylos mountain. So I'm commanding the Seleucids, the army of Antiochus the Great. And my two opponents are son of Peleus and Alec. They will be commanding their joint army. And son of Peleus will be commanding the elephants, the African elephants that the Romans would have had access to. And Alec is going to command the main body of Roman troops. So, this battle happened around 190 BC, December. December is kind of interesting because most Hellenistic battles did not take place during the winter. This one did, and it was cold, and it was raining, and both generals did not like these battlefield conditions. Especially Antiochus, because he had a lot of skirmish troops, like archers and slingers, and the rain made their weapons a lot less effective than what they could have been. So I'm using my own deployment here. Antiochus actually interspersed his pikes with skirmishers and elephants. And many ancient historians remarked, or at least one remarked, that it was a very unskilled deployment by Antiochus. So I'm going to go with my own deployment here. So there's my my pike body. A lot of skirmishers, as I said.
Phalanx pikemen! Pikemen!
And one of the strengths that the Seleucids did have, aside from their well-disciplined phalanx, was their horse arm. Namely their cataphracts. At the Battle of Raphia, Antiochus was almost victorious. Almost. At that battle, he ended up winning on his side of the battlefield, but he failed to come back and assist the phalanx when it was going head-to-head against the enemy phalanx. So, they did have a mighty cav arm, and their phalanx was still very deadly. And also the, well, let me show you their army too. Those are the African elephants that the Romans would have had. I'm not sure why they put the Triarii over there. And I did give that guy a Roman cav unit with a maxed out upgrades. They recommend, I mean, they represent the Pergamene cav that Eumenes of Pergamon would have been commanding. Very brilliant Hellenistic commander who was fighting for Rome against the last great superpower of the Hellenistic world. But yeah, the Seleucids also had access to Indian elephants, which were a lot more intimidating than the African elephants that Rome was fielding here. So the Roman commander left his elephants in reserve because he knew he couldn't go head-to-head against the Indian elephants. So right there's the main body of the Roman units. I'm going to send up my peltasts to skirmish with them. And my opponent thinks he can get a quick charge on my skirmishers with his Equite unit. But I bring up my general. Here comes Antiochus the Great. He liked to fight in battle. Like, he tried to be just like Alexander the Great. He wasn't quite up to his standards, but he tried to when he could. But he was always at the forefront of the fight. When he fought the Romans at Thermopylae, he was in the thick of battle. Someone, probably a Roman, threw a rock at him, shattered his teeth, and he fell off his horse. Or something happened to that effect. He definitely lost his teeth there, though. So you can see I have my archers already in flaming mode. I let them in flaming mode just to get ready for those African elephants, who are being used in a reserve capacity, just like how the Romans used them in the actual battle. So Antiochus did try to use the cav like Alexander the Great did. Decisive cav charge. In the actual battle, the Seleucids opened up on their left with a side chariot attack, and it failed miserably. Eumenes, the Pergamene commander, rejected that attack with his skirmishers, and when the side chariots came back, they ran into their own Seleucid troops. At the same time, Antiochus the Great was sending another charge on the right wing with him in charge. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now with my guys. I got my cataphracts routed there, though. I wanted to get a quick charge into his guys, but it failed. So this guy sends in his elephants. Try to take out my skirmishers, but he fails. So he actually brings his African elephants out of there. And there I'm flaming them with my flaming archers. But here you can see I'm using my chariots in reserve fashion as well. I don't want them going haywire just yet. Interesting to note that the cav charge of Antiochus the Great, it really did succeed at this battle at Magnesia. But just like what he did against the Ptolemies at Raphia, he failed to return and help out his main infantry body. That's what happened at the actual battle. So I'm going to bring up my phalanx. I'm going to come to grips with the Roman legionnaires here. And I should have been careful with my archers there. I start shooting my own guys. A little too close for comfort there. But yeah, the cav charge by Antiochus was very much like Alexander the Great would have done against the Romans. The Romans, they fell all the way back to their own camp. And if it wasn't for the Hellenistic, their Pergamene ally, Eumenes, Antiochus the Great would have carried this battle. How ironic that it was a Hellenistic commander that saved the Romans at this battle and won it for him against the last great Hellenistic superpower of the day. So right there, this guy is trying to outflank my phalanx, but I have my general back there and my cataphracts to save my back line. All kinds of chaos on the right there, though. Yeah, in the actual battle, as I said, Antiochus was out raiding the Roman camp, or trying to, anyways. He wasn't here when the main infantry fight took place. When he returned, he saw that his infantry was getting slashed, getting massacred by the Romans. Same thing would happen at the Battle of Raphia, which happened 30 years before this battle, just about. So it's kind of funny that this guy did not learn his lesson against the Ptolemies. He repeated the same mistake against the Romans. But he could have won this battle. He really could have. It wasn't a one-sided affair, although the casualties reflect that. So those elephants of my opponents are still back there, and I've got my archers closer up to start shooting them. And I pretty much manhandled this guy's cav. And more flaming action on the elephants. Can I rout them in time before they take place? Before they take part in the battle? And I do! There go those elephants. They are amok. They are no longer fighting for any particular team. In fact, they're running into their own men right now. And I got my cav charging down those routing units. So, by the way, this commentary is not live. I'm just adding the commentary post-battle here. So I'm just watching it. And you can see that my chariots ran amok there. That's fine. They did enough damage. And my opponent's going to launch this one last counter-offensive here on my phalanx. It's going to be hard to accomplish his mission without any elephants and without his cav. There's Antiochus the Great. He's fighting those equites. Wait, were they equites or Roman cav? I didn't really get a good look. Whatever. But here comes my Indian elephants now. They're gonna take place. They're gonna take part in this battle here. Do some Indian damage to these Romans here. Look at those guys fly. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, the reason why Antiochus the Great deployed his phalanx and elephants in that unique manner was just to yeah, there goes Antiochus where he's dead. But he did it like that because these Hellenistic commanders were still trying to solve the mystery of defeating these Roman legionaries in battle. So they always, well, sometimes they would experiment with how they deployed. But you know, as I said, it wasn't really that bad. I mean, this guy could have won if it wasn't for the Pergamene ally of the Romans. Because the Romans were getting slaughtered at this fight until the Pergamene commander did his thing and saved the Romans. But yeah, my elephants are still very much into this battle. They're a little tired, but they still want some action. There is the Roman commander trying to rear charge my guys, but he dies in that attempt. So both the Roman commander and the Seleucid commander are both dead. Antiochus the Great did die, but not at this battle. He died a few years after this battle. He died in a campaign out east. But yeah, after this war, man, the Seleucids, they were really they were kind of done for. Like, they owed a huge indemnity to the Romans, and they lost a lot of their territory in Anatolia, and their navy was pretty much disbanded. So a very huge decline in the Seleucids after this battle. But yeah, the first part of this campaign with Antiochus in Greece, it went really bad when he was in Greece. His navy didn't do so bad, though. They were holding their own against the Romans, because the Romans did have support from Rhodes and Pergamon. And I would say the battle at sea was very close. But the Romans got the upper hand, and so that's why this battle took place. Romans crossed into Asia Minor, fought at Magnesia here. So this is really just mopping up here. I'm gonna let my elephants lead the way, charge down those defiant Roman units who have refused to leave the battlefield. And by the way, happy Seleucid Day. The Seleucids have been announced as a free DLC for Rome 2. Cannot wait. That's partially why I did this battle. Other part is because Antiochus the Great, despite all of his flaws in battle and whatnot, he's one of my favorite commanders. I think his story is very interesting. Definitely not the greatest military commander, but he tried, and I love that. So this will probably be my last Rome Total War battle. And I'm going to try to play Rome 2 next. Excuse me. I just have to see if my computer is up to the challenge. I was planning to buy a new computer, but that was when Rome 2 was scheduled for an October release, but they switched it to a September. So now I had to resort to getting a new video card, and hopefully that's enough to run the game. run it at least mediocrely. With is that a word? Mediocrely? I don't know. I like to invent words like Shakespeare, I guess. Anyways, good game to my opponents here. I'm so thankful they took place. They took part. Why do I keep saying that? They took part in this historical battle, Battle of Magnesia. One of my favorites. And yeah, they had more money to work with, more troops too. But good stuff. Definitely good stuff.